we go. Good evening, everyone. As always, the best thing you can do for me right at the beginning is, if you're watching live, is let me know that you can see me and hear me. So thank you for that. I hope that everyone's having a wonderful Thursday evening, having a wonderful week. Uh, yeah, hey, um, how's your week been, everybody? How are things going for you? Good to see you guys. I'm sure more will be joining us. I am curious about what you guys have all been watching and reading, especially in the horror vein or genre vein. So, uh, comment in the side chat, and if you're watching later, comment below, which is always a big help for the algorithm anyway. So, let's see, who do we got so far? We have Haruka. Haruka, I don't know if you want me to out your real name here or not, so I'll just say Haruka. Brian, Edward, Darren. Darren, thank you for the lovely email. And Pete said that he would be happy to do that sometime in the near future. Your request about excuse me, my mind just blanked, so it's a good thing I wrote it down. But yeah, he said he Manly Wade Wellman and a couple of other things that you mentioned. Uh, Dave, Kim, Mark, Joe Allen, my newest panelist and my games expert. And looks like Suzanne is here. And Michael Schumann. And Michael, you're in Pasadena, Texas. That reminds me, I was surprised to get so many answers when I asked a month and a half or so ago in the Lovecraft eZine community Facebook group that there are quite a few eZiners in Texas. And they all seemed like they thought it was a good idea to do a Lovecraft eZine miniature convention. Maybe sometime next year. I'd want to do it at a time that works out for the best for at least 75% or 85% people. Can't please everyone, but I'd like to get as close as possible and probably do it. I'm open to suggestion, but probably do it in Waxahachie, which is 30 minutes from Dallas. And this is not a tiny town. It's a small town. It's not a tiny town. There are plenty of opportunities for hotels. And you guys could come see the BookHouse if you wanted. That would be really cool. I'm also getting feedback from people who aren't in Texas and would want to come as well. A good friend as far away as New Jersey, for example. So we'll work that out. But in the meantime, I'll send a chat to everyone, some kind of poll or something, sometime in the next couple of weeks, and we'll figure out some details, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, let's see. Um, Looks like Brandon, what's your great news? Looks like okay, Alan's reading You Like It Darker. I too am reading You Like It Darker. I just finished Danny Conklin's Bad Dream, so I'm about 50% through. Um, where are you at, Alan? I I heard that there are even better stories to come. Okay, good. Yeah, it's 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 an interesting story, Alan. It's kind of philosophical in a way. Um, yeah, and Weird Willie really surprised me. That did not go the direction I was thinking that was going to go, but that's probably all I should say about that particular story without spoilers. Let me pull up my Kindle app. It's right there. It is. Um, yeah, here we go. You like it darker. Yeah, I'm about to start a story called Finn, Finn, and I was told that I can't remember who, maybe it was one of you, that the answer man was pretty emotional, at least for that particular reader. So I'm looking forward to that one too. Um, anyway, how are you finding it so far? Those of you who are reading, You Like It Darker. How are you finding it so far? And if you're reading the book, are you reading it in Kindle or print, or are you listening to it on Audible, or are you doing both? I'm doing both. Um, the actor, he's pretty famous. The actor who does the narration has done several Stephen King books, and he's really good, very good. So anyway, there's that. Let's see here. Stormed like crazy today. Wow. Excuse me. Stopped up again. Uh, that's life though, right? Um, I want to touch base very quickly because I know Rick would be the very first one to tell me to I'm making too much fuss about him and to get on with other things. So Rick, I will. Yes, Will Patton, thank you. Um, but I I did write about a week ago how depressed I was about Rick and put that on the Patreon for free Patreons and paying Patreons. And I got so many nice comments from all of you, and I just want you guys to know how much I appreciate all of the comments. And that's not some um, let me blow you off with a standard form letter type of response. I really mean it. I read each and every one of them, and um, one person, I don't want to out you. You're in the in the side chat right now, unless you want to be outed. But you said you've been dealing with depression since your late 20s. You're 62 now. What helps you is music, TV, and reading. And talked about reading some of Rick's work. And yeah, I really appreciated that, man. Um, the thing about, yes, Kim, it is very powerful. And as is, you know what? The other thing that helps is laughter, which sounds kind of dumb, but if you, but it absolutely helps. If you put on something that you know is guaranteed to at least maybe start you smiling and then start you laughing. Like for me, it's reading old Bloom County uh, cartoons, comic strips, or old Simpsons, uh, episodes, things like that. Then I start laughing, I get the belly giggles, those endorphins start coming in, and it really helps. So, yep, Darren, that was you. And the thing about depression, as you wisely know, you're 9 years older than me, is that you're going to set yourself up for failure and you're going to feel like a failure if you have dealt with deep depression and you think that, okay, I'm a failure because I've not gotten to that point yet where I'm done with it, where I've conquered it. So what the hell is wrong with me? All these years have gone by and I still haven't conquered it. That's not the way you think, and you are not a failure if you think that way. The the thing is what you can do is you can keep learning more and more tools to keep it at bay and to keep the times that it really hits you badly, um, keep those times, make them less and less frequent. You know what I mean? And when they do hit, then you've got the tools to deal with it. So, um, that's a good question, Brandon. How does my wife help me when I'm depressed? Well, the first thing is I'm very lucky because I have a really really great wife. We met in 1995 and we married a year and a half later in 1996 and been together ever since. Um, if I listed all the ways that my wife helps me, I would be here all night, but I'll try to answer this question as best as I can just off the cuff. The first thing that really helps me is knowing that she understands that what I'm going through in the sense that she understands that it's just not depression isn't just me being lazy or feeling sorry for myself or things like that. She knows it's not that. She knows what kind of childhood I went through, and she's there with a hug when I am depressed. There with a hug when I'm not, of course, too. And I guess the most important thing is that she understands and she doesn't blame me. And many times when I've really hit a bad day in depression, she'll make me go out, take me to the mall, or we'll go for a walk, or go to the library, things like that. So those are just a couple of ways. I mean, you know, um, you you can't um, you can't undervalue the strengthening the help that a really good hug can give you. You know what I mean? Someone who really loves you and they're hugging you tight. And there's a reason for that. I read about that once, and I've been years ago, and I completely forgot about it. But really tight hugs from someone who loves you, and it's a sincere hug. That helps too. There are so many things that helps. Um, so I don't want to make this all about depression unless you guys want me to. But I did start out with this saying I got a lot of comments on that Patreon post, and I just wanted to thank everyone here who's a Patreon that that commented. Yeah, Sean, the other night, I like to walk at night, especially in this Texas weather, and I was I was feeling pretty down. It happens. I'm not a guy who's. If anyone looks at me and thinks, "Oh, Mike's got all the answers and he's conquered everything," the answer is no, I don't. But I've just and learned a million books, read a million books on the subject, and learned all I could, and I try to implement those tools when I need to implement them. And the other night I took a walk, which I often do, but then I put on some music instead of listening to an audiobook, which is what I usually do. And just walking and listening to music blasting in my ears really helped. And the funny thing is, I found this. We're on the Spotify plan, so I found this. I just typed in spooky music playlist, and there was some really dumb ones, but there was a really good one too that I started playing, and it it was just it yeah, it really helped. And by the time I got back home, I was feeling better. So yeah, no, Mark, everyone's different. If if that doesn't do it for you, if a hug doesn't do it for you, then don't force yourself into a situation that's going to make yourself. Okay, we're all different, man. So some tools that I throw at you guys, they might be very helpful. Other tools that I throw out there and say this has worked for me may not work for you at all. So take uh, take what works for you. Let's see here. Going back to the comments, Darren says, "I love the library." Yes, I am going to get my library card finally in the new town tomorrow, and I'm very excited. Something about being in the library, surrounded by all those books and that quiet. Um, I do not like heavy metal. Sorry. Hauntology playlist. I'll have to check that out, Sean. Hauntology playlist. I'll try to remember that. So anyway, all of this was just to say thank you guys. It was really, really appreciated. And so anyway, let's talk about some books. Somehow I never mentioned this last week or in recent memory, but this book is called Secret Hours. It's early Michael Sisko. Um, and it's a collection. It's not a novel. I remember I bought it and read it years before I ever met Sisko and became friends with him. And it's just, if you haven't read Sisko, this is a great book to start with. Some of his later stuff is even more hard. It's not hard to get into. It's just you really have to pay attention. It's heavy reading. Sisko's a very, very smart guy and a very good writer. And I told him a little while back. Um, I had just read "Do You Mind If I Walk with Your Legs" or something like that. I can't remember the exact title of a book he wrote. And I said, "There's a spoof. There's a clip from The Simpsons from way, way back whenever in the early '90s when Twin Peaks was on, and it's a really funny clip. I have it somewhere. I'll have to find it. And Homer Simpson's sitting there in the dark, and he's watching Twin Peaks, and it's just got this blue glow coming from the TV, but you can't see what's on the TV yet. But he's looking at it, and he's like looking at it, and then you see a little clip on the TV, and then Homer goes, "Brilliant! That's brilliant!" I have absolutely no idea what's going on, which reminds me of some of Michael Sisko books. It's brilliant. I have no idea what's going on. So, which is not quite true. You just have to pay attention. So, anyway, yeah, if you have not picked up, I know I'm going to spend more of you guys' money, but if you have not picked up or read Secret Hours by Sisko, Michael Sisko, please do. Uh, so took care of that. Yeah, Twin Peaks. I think I'm up for another watch of Twin Peaks, but hey, Have any of you seen a TV show called From? I think maybe it's about to enter its third season. Uh, it's about this weird town that people from all over they they drive into it somehow, and it doesn't matter where they're from. They could be driving from opposite parts of the country or I don't know, even the world. I don't know. Uh, but you can't get out. So From is super interesting. It's creepy. It's original. It's in the second season. I was thinking it was taking a little long to get to the point. There's a way to be ambiguous and still give the viewer some payoff. Yeah, thank you, Awake. The residents of a small town struggle to find a way out when mysterious unknown forces keep them from leaving. Well, I challenge you to watch the very first scene in the very first episode and not think, I got to keep watching this. So I'm gonna get back to it again. Actually, let me write myself a note. From. Hopefully I'll remember why I wrote the word from later. Um, and then the other thing is, anyone know who did the cover to the uh, to Que Sera Sera, which plays during the opening credits of each episode? I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think it's absolutely brilliant the way that their interpretation of that from Que Sera Sera. I am. Yeah, that would be the Pixies. I must be old because I don't know who that is. But you can play just the song on YouTube, and it's just amazing. You know, changed into to these minor keys, not quite the up song that you've heard before. So, um, the third day with Jude Law, Edward. I don't know what stream. Anyone know what streaming? Wow, here comes another storm, guys. It was even hailing earlier. Y- yeah, but my ignorance of pop culture, Mark, is sometimes profound. Um, but okay, anyone seen the third day with Jude Law? The third day. It rings a bell. I'm gonna write that down too. But if it's Aikman-esque, then I want to check it out. My wife is on. I'm trying to talk her into watching a scary movie after I'm done here. But I don't know if I'll succeed or not. Danielle, were you on 15 minutes ago and they asked what my wife did to help me when I was depressed? Because I said a lot of nice things about you and I didn't even know you were listening, honey. Didn't I, guys? All right, what's the third day about? Yeah, it's a dark and stormy night. All right. When I watch horror, when I read horror, um, it's always nice when there's something surprising and unexpected. And of course, that helps if you try to avoid spoilers and, you know, try to avoid trailers, or at least if you watch the trailer and you're 30 or 45 seconds in and you think, wow, this looks really good, then if I'm doing that, then I stop watching the trailer because I don't want to know anymore. So in the spirit of that, I want to throw out a few movies, and I wonder if you guys have um, have seen them. Give me a second here. I need to flip some. Yes, they do give too much away. Okay, the first one is, and let me know if you've seen these movies. The first one is Daniel Isn't Real. It's a 2019 horror movie, and I won't say that I thought that it stuck the landing perfectly or anything, but it's so different that it's really worth a watch. And troubled Luke suffers a violent family trauma and resurrects his childhood imaginary friend to help him cope. Charismatic and full of energy, Daniel helps Luke to achieve his dreams before pushing him into a desperate fight for his own soul. And I thought it kind of near the end went into the Lovecraftian. So, there's that. Anyone seen that? Never seen it? Well, if you're writing things down, definitely check that one out. Excuse me a second. I'm getting hot. I have to turn on the AC. There we go. Thanks. Okay. All right. So yeah, Daniel Isn't Real is I really enjoyed it. Next movie that surprised me somewhat um, is called Z, just the letter Z. Another 2019 film, and again plays with this idea that is this real or is this not real? Is this entity real? Is it not real? Which I love. It's kind of Philip K. Dickian in a way, that concept, I mean. And I think that you guys would enjoy that one. Oh, The Third Day. Yeah, I saw that a long time ago. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that movie. Um, all right. Another surprising movie to me, and I know you guys have seen this one probably, but It Follows. But the interesting thing about, well, there's a lot of interesting things about It Follows. I really like the original idea for a force or an entity or whatever that is you know trying to get to these people for whatever reason. And it's really creepy in some places. It's really a jump scare or two in some places. But the other strange thing about it, if you've seen it, okay, for everyone who's seen it, do you remember this? There are some what look like deliberate um, anachronisms. Is that the right word? Anachronisms? I don't know. Uh, in the movie. And if you remember in one scene, the one of the sisters, she's reading a Kindle, but it's a Kindle like you've never seen. It's round, you know, and yet other it doesn't seem like it fits into any particular timeline. It's like there's things stitched from other decades into this movie, and that has to be deliberate. Um, I read up about that a little while ago, a little while meaning a couple of years ago, and I just thought right before I went on that I wanted to talk about it, but of course, um, I did not pull it up. Okay, it follows. Let's do it follows theories, and let's see if I can find what I'm talking about. Nope. But anyway, I'll try to do that more justice next week. Edward, It Follows is fantastic. Brandon, uh, I don't think I've seen any of the Exorcist movies, including the first one. I tried to watch the first one a while back, but I just couldn't get into it. Mark, the latest Doctor Who. Oh wow, really? Very strong It Follows vibes? Well, according to Ben Handelman, I need to save my money and not get Disney uh, right now to watch this season of Doctor Who because he says I'm going to hate the first two episodes and the next two episodes don't make up enough for it to justify the expense. And I'm trying to avoid spoilers and I'm mostly succeeding, but it just seems like there's some intriguing things that include the 15th Doctor as well. So I don't know. I have not watched it yet. I almost broke down and started watching tonight, but Ben's like, "Don't do it, don't do it." So I'm like, "Okay, I trust you." Well, I didn't like the Christmas special. The the singing and dancing while they're fighting, the big bad of the episode. I just thought this just takes me right out of the story. Doctor Who's not a musical. So, but that's just me. What about a movie? And I know my wife saw this with me like 15 years ago, called The Box. Are you guys familiar with that? 2009 movie, I think. And something about, I mean, first of all, it's set in the 70s, which to me, for some reason, just adds to the eeriness of it. For I don't know why. I don't know that I can articulate why. But it was directed by Richard Kelly, I believe. And yes, and he's the same guy who did Donnie Darko. It's a really interesting movie, and it's based. It's from a short story by Richard Matheson, from decades ago called Button Button, I believe. So no, I don't think it's the last thing he's done, Joe. But yeah, Matheson. As a matter of fact, CBS Radio Mystery Theater in the early 70s in a 1974 episode did an adaptation of that story as well, and it's called The Chinaman Button, which same concept about, pushing a button and everything, but in the movie it elevates it to more of a sci-fi slash eerie um, level. And it could have easily fallen apart in the second half of the movie, but I don't think it did. I really liked it. So Autopsy of Jane Doe, that's a great movie. That's a really great movie. I need to rewatch that soon. So anyway, um, if you haven't seen The Box, check it out. The Box is based on a Matheson story. Yes, Edward. So, um, all right. Now, I'm guessing most of you have seen this, but I'm talking about movies that are surprising, that were surprising to me the first time I saw them. The Vast of Night. You guys remember that coming out? See you, Mark. Thanks for stopping by. You guys remember The Vast of Night coming out, what, 3 or 4 years ago? Oh man, another a fellow CBS Radio Mystery Theater fan club member. That's cool. That's cool, Sean. Great. Thanks for letting me know. The opening scene of Vast of Night is mesmerizing. You know, it's so that movie is so successful on so many levels. And you remember the the scene that goes all the way across town with no cut. It's absolutely incredible, you know, how they did that. Um, I had to rewind that twice. The first time I watched that, it was just amazing. Here's another thing that's I thought they did really, really well that could have just been some throwaway gibberish. You remember when, and I'll keep spoilers to a bare minimum, but you remember when the two of them they go visit the old lady, the shut-in, um, and as they're walking through the house, they hear her talking. Yeah, Edward, you beat me to it. And she's speaking this strange language, and I don't even know what's going on or what the language is yet the first time I'm watching the movie. But I was like, man, that's really creepy. I mean, it wasn't like somebody speaking a language that I don't know, like, you know, German or Portuguese or Spanish. You know, okay, that's another language. That's fine, just like English. This one just felt so alien, absolutely alien, just listening to it. And just on that basis alone, not knowing anything else about what she was saying or talking about. And it's amazing. I would love to know the links that they went to figure out how to, you know, come up with those particular consonants and vowels and put them all together. But yeah, Awake it's on Amazon Prime. The Vast of Night is incredibly amazing. It's set in the 50s, right, guys? And oh, the other thing that it succeeds in very well that a lot of movies don't is at one point they're on the phone with a gentleman that's giving them information to the two to our two protagonists. And all it is a phone call and they're talking back and forth to this guy and he's telling them a story of what happened. And just the phone call, none of it was boring. Just listening to the guy, you know, the old saw of show don't tell. Well, this guy's just telling, and it works. It works fantastically. It's just there's no part of this film that does not work for me. I think it's one of the most perfect sci-fi horror movies um, that I've ever seen, and I won't say Lovecraftian. I will say cosmic horror in a way because there's one line in the movie the old woman says that something like free will is not possible with them up there. And, you know, if that's not cosmic horror, I don't know what is. You know, you got some kind of entity from who knows where, possibly controlling the entire fate of mankind, who thinks it's in control of its own destiny, you know? All right, so all of you guys, I thought more of you would have seen Vast of Night. Now, all of you who have not seen Vast of Night, see you, Sean. Thanks for stopping by. You have to come back next week and tell me what you thought of Vast of Night, because I think you're really going to like it. So I'm glad I could recommend it to some people who haven't seen it yet. Don't watch the trailer. I always say that, but don't watch the trailer. All right. Oh, I skipped over one. All right. So speaking of surprising, this movie, it's sort of a B movie from 2018, I think, and it's called Head Count. And I think the biggest actor in there is Shawn Ashmore. Excuse me, I'm pulling it up on my laptop. Head Count movie, yeah, 2018. Oh, good. Some of you have seen Head Count. Yeah, again, avoid spoilers, avoid reading anything at all about it. Avoid uh, and this is classic. Um, Hearing about a movie from someone that you trust or hopefully trust, saying that I really enjoyed it. You know, looking at it on IMDb, it's got 2.5 stars, 5.4 out of 10. Um, I don't know if it. Uh, I would have normally just passed that on by, but somebody, I think it was Kelly, recommended it to me. Might have been Kelly, but it's basically about. Well, let me just read the synopsis. A group of college kids on a weekend getaway accidentally summon a supernatural entity, intent on using them for its deadly ritual. Right there, well, that would have turned me off too, because it just sounds so, you know, this has been done before a million times, right? Dave says, I trust you, I don't trust Pete. Um, yeah, there are definitely elements of cosmic horror, I think, in head count. Um, Laird likes to say, and I'm gonna badly paraphrase him, but that cosmic horror does not have to have anything to do with, out there, outer space. It could be, you know, uh, how many of his stories are about that? They're about more terrestrial gods, demons, entities, things that we don't understand, you know, old leeches and out there in space, right? Anyway, I think if you watch Head Count, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. I can't remember any jump scares in this movie. What I do remember is a couple of scenes that unfucking nerved me so much. Yeah, you're right. It was Pete. Yeah, it wasn't Kelly, it was Pete. That unnerved me so goddamn much that I actually stood up in my chair and said, "What the fuck just happened?" And it it was just very, very well done. So, um, yeah, check it out. You got a good memory, Edward. So, let's see here. All right, so we've talked about head count. We've been talking about things that are surprising in a good way. Head count. Daniel isn't real. Uh, the movie called Z, It Follows, The Box, The Vast of Night, From, but I wish From would get to the point in some way. It's the problem with From is I think it's by the same people who did Lost, and I'm not sure. We know they didn't know where they were ultimately headed in Lost, and I don't think they know where they're ultimately headed in From either. So when it's advertised as from the folks who brought you Lost, to me that's not a plus. So I have a couple questions for you guys. A movie called The Ruins from I think 2009, right? I assume some people in here have seen it. I've gone back and forth over the years if I should watch this or not. I get the feeling there's some body horror in it. Um, but oh, by the way, I see that head count is on Peacock. But the book is better. Yeah, maybe I'll read the book instead. So I guess my question is, should I watch The Ruins or should I just skip it and read the book? I have a feeling I know the answer. And there's a more recent movie called The Rental. Has anyone seen that? It's a 2020 movie. Uh, Two couples rent a vacation home for what should be a celebratory weekend getaway. Director Dave Franco. That's quite the. Now that's that's a synopsis I can get behind. It tells you absolutely almost nothing. So let's see. Not that this means anything often, but trying to find the scores of 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb, and looks like it's on Netflix. I don't know. Is it any good? Anyone seen that? It's not that good? Okay. Good to know. Good to know. Well, Alan, if you can't remember much about it, it couldn't have been that great. So, all right. So, if you haven't seen From, you might want to check it out, but I'm losing faith in it. I'll just leave it at that. Okay, I asked about The Ruins, I asked about The Rental. If Chaz was here, I was going to ask him if I think last week I recommended to him The House in Cypress Canyon from Old Time Radio, the suspense uh, radio show. I was going to ask him what he thought of it, but I don't think he is here. Um, and if any of he said he was going to listen to it right after the show. I don't know if any of you have listened to it, but if you haven't, it's about a 25-minute listen, and it's really creepy. It's good. All right, now here's a question. This is on Shudder, and it's called this movie is called No One Will Save You. So, has anyone seen that one? What has a following, Daniel? Yeah, you could say that It Follows has a following. Is that a dad joke? Oh, The Rental has a following? Yeah, I don't know. You guys saved me from watching that one. I'm not going to watch that one. Um, I forgot to say that It Follows. They're doing a sequel called They Follow. Daniel, you and I are on the same wavelength. Uh, I don't know. I'm really up in the air about this. If it's really really good, then I'm gonna be glad they did it. Like Superman and Superman 2, Terminator and Terminator 2, and Alien and Aliens. So I, I I hope it is great. I'd love to see more, but what I don't want to see more of with It Follows is an explanation of what this thing is, because when you take away the mystery, you take away the fear. As Lovecraft said, fear of the unknown is the greatest fear. Paraphrasing. Okay, so I should watch No One Will Save You. Okay, I'm gonna write that one down. No one will save your ass. Right? That's the title. No, I don't think it does need a sequel, Daniel. Um, so I guess we'll see if the first wave of people watching it come back with, "Wow, what a pile of shit this was," then I'll just content myself with the fact that the first movie is great. Um, all right. I know that I've recommended this movie on the regular show. This is not a horror movie, but it is creepy. Bonus, it stars Robin Williams, who I don't have to tell you is was a genius and fantastic with everything he did, from comedy to movies like Dead Poet Society. Um, this particular movie really flew under my radar, and I think a lot of other people's radars as well. Um, and it's called, no, I haven't watched, I don't think I've watched stop motion. Let me look it up. Oh no, I want to watch that. And I know my wife, Danielle, I know you really want to watch it too. 90% Rotten Tomatoes. Oh, I bet Danielle wants to watch this. It's about puppets. Yes. Did John Padgett write this? What was the name? What was the name? Okay, I'm gonna watch stop motion. Thank you guys. What was the name of that movie that Pete recommended? Kim and Alan, you guys may remember this. This is several years ago, and he's making this. His wife's out of town. And he's making like this, I don't know, fortress in his living room, but with tunnels and everything. But then when you go in, you're in this different reality that he's created with these tunnels. That's a bad description, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That's the kind of thing I like, where reality is uncertain. You know, uh, like Daniel isn't real. Or Z. That kind of thing. I need to compile a list of um, reality is ambiguous. I'm writing this down. I want to create a list for the blog. You get Dave made a maze. That's it. Dave made a maze. Anyone who has not, thank you, Alan. Anyone who has not seen Dave made a maze, you should see it. It's a really good movie. Um, I wouldn't say it's horrific or anything like that. I would just say it's a very strange but a very watchable strange. Anyway, back to Robin Williams. There's a movie called The Night Listener. Robin Williams is a DJ, and he is given this book by a colleague to read. It's from a first-time writer. It's from this kid who's been abused, and he writes about it and everything, and it's really well written. And Robin Williams starts talking to this kid on the phone, and then he's invited out by the kid and his, can't remember if it's his aunt or his stepmom or something, and he goes out there, and that's all I'm going to say. Except there are moments in this movie that creeped me out far more than so many horror movies, and I don't mean jump scares. I just mean so incredibly creepy, um, and so well acted, not just by Robin Williams, but by the other actors as well. If you have not seen um, The Night Listener, I'm begging you to see it. And as always, don't look up anything about it. But um, yeah, The Night Listener is just really, really, really good, and it's always a blast watching Robin Williams anyway. So let's see. Yeah, talked about the house in Cypress Canyon. Talked about No One Will Save You. I think this movie is called The Monument that Matt recommends. I think you guys might have watched it on movie night, and he really liked it. No, it's not called The Monument. I'll have to ask Matt what it is, unless one of you guys know. Um, yeah. All right. Forget I said anything. I'll ask Matt about it. Hey, Alan, have you picked up that uh, new game, The Tribe Must Survive, yet? I wanted to play it because it's basically Lovecraftian horror set in the Stone Age, and you're supposed to protect your tribe. And I posted this article on the big Facebook page today. He goes, the title is "I lost all my tribe in the time it takes you to read this sentence." He's like, and tendrils were coming out of the woods, grabbing my villagers and everything. And I thought, I got to play this, and then realized that I have Linux and it's not going to work on Linux, unfortunately. At least not yet. So anyway, what have you guys been up to? Everybody been working hard this week? You got to get up early and work tomorrow? Maybe I'll watch No One Will Save You tonight. I don't know. Hmm. Yep. Yep. One more day to go. All right. Um. Well, we're at an hour. Is there? I have a question. Are you guys enjoying this? Do you want me to keep doing this every Thursday night? Because I am more than happy to. I'm enjoying it. Um, and as I say every week, something about the late night aspect is is just really neat. You got Paul's book, Disappearance at Devil's Rock. That is my favorite Paul Tremblay book. That is a great book. I love that. Dialing the Wind is great. Yeah, I'm trying to remember exact. That's one of the ones. I'm sorry. Let me call upon Google to refresh my memory. Dialing the Wind. I think that's one of the ones that's a four-parter. Yep, four novellas. He was really good at that. Um, oh yeah, that's a good one. And with Charles Grant, you have to just start reading, and you're in for the slow burn. You're in for the mood. Nightmare Seasons is really great. I can't remember the one that starts off where um, he goes to the library and he's handed this book by the librarian who wants him to read it, and it's the middle of January or something, and it's raining like forever, and he goes back home, and it's four novellas that he reads, um, and that that's I think probably my favorite. Um, if you'll bear with me a second here, I'll look it up. Um, Novella books. Well, that's not going to help. Nightmare Seasons. Yeah, that is the one I'm thinking of. That's the one I'm thinking of. Nightmare Seasons is probably my favorite book of Charles Grant's that does that four novella format in the book. Um, each of the novellas is is set in a different season of the year, and it's very poetic and lyrical, and I especially love the setup at the beginning, the the end where he's talking about, I can't say what he's writing about at the end. I'll spoil it, but suffice to say that in my Kindle copy I highlighted it a lot. So yeah, Nightmare Seasons is my favorite. Um, so so yeah, if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about tonight, I'm happy to do so. Otherwise, I'm gonna go eat some leftover Chinese. I really appreciate you guys. I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys. Appreciate all of you who uh, are supporting me financially and keeping me going. You know, don't you just hate talking about money and um, the fact that you need it to do stuff? I mean, it's, but all of us who are not rich have to do it, don't we? I appreciate you guys who keep me going financially. I appreciate the emotional support as well, all the notes. Um, I'm catching up on my email, but I read every email and I try to reply to every single email too. So, so thanks for that. Uh, Michael says, getting back to your idea for next year's Lovecraft eZine Texas gathering, trip out to Robert E. Howard's house and a lunch or dinner together with anyone attending. Yeah, I already had in mind a lunch or dinner. I mean, yeah, that's a given. We have to do something like that. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll do that at Necronomicon too for the patrons. And now or next week, can you speak on where to go after the Kolchak movies and TV series? Are there some books better than others? Uh, I would, but I think instead, let's do this on Sunday with Pete and Matt and the others who are, don't get me wrong, I'm a Kolchak nut, but these guys are more knowledgeable about the books than I am. And Christ, if Rick was still here, somebody said a library burned down when he died. The insight that he could give you, Dave, on that would be phenomenal as well. But unfortunately, we'll have to make do. So if it's all right with you, we'll talk about it on Sunday. Um, I'm just writing this down so I do not forget. Okay, buddy? And I'm sure those guys will love talking about it. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here, and thanks for all the support. Um, if you're a patron and you think somebody else would enjoy what I do, um, spread the word, tell a friend. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys, and I will let you guys get to sleep so you can get up in the morning. Good night and goodbye and hello, as always.